Hello, I'm Adrian Clarke and welcome to the breakdown. Today we're going to be analysing Arsenal's display in the 2-2 draw with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wow, where do I start? First up, you can't sugarcoat this. This was a desperately poor performance, substandard, self-destructive in a way, in the manner that Arsenal relinquished that 2-goal lead. And in doing so, of course, Arsenal did make unwanted history. First ever Premier League leaders to give up a 2-goal lead against a side in the relegation zone. So yeah, that's bad enough. But I think it's the pattern, isn't it, of Arsenal getting themselves into pretty good positions and then refusing really to put the foot down and to go for the jugular, go for the kill, and continue to play in an attack-minded, intense way. To go on and score more goals and to play with that fluency and confidence. But unfortunately, Arsenal have got into the habit of sitting on those leads, those narrow leads, tightening up, getting very cautious, and basically relying on the goalkeeper and the centre halves to keep things tight at the back. But you're always at the mercy, aren't you, of a bit of bad luck, of a deflected strike, of a worldie that goes in the top corner. Think about those Manchester United games. Think about the goal that we'll look at a little bit later on this show from Wolves. It's a dangerous game to play, and I think that Arsenal must get themselves out of that mindset quickly, and to change the approach to matches. There's a lot at stake here. There's a lot that Arsenal can go on and achieve this season. Still in all four competitions. This could still be a phenomenal campaign, but it'll only be a phenomenal campaign if the players and the staff and everybody involved go out there and grab it and relish the pressure and the responsibility rather than letting it overwhelm us and impact the way we go about our work. Look, the story of the game was actually an okay first half and a really, really bad second half, but we'll get into the nuts and bolts of that very, very shortly. In terms of the start, I thought it was good. We get ourselves the early goal, of course. We swarm all over Wolves. It feels like Wigan. It feels like a game where Arsenal can go and score multiple goals. They looked very nervous. They couldn't really pass the ball under pressure, as I'll show you here on our defensive map from the first half. Here it is. As you can see, we're kicking from right to left so often in that game, in the first half up until half-time, that we won the ball back in Wolves' territory. Loads and loads of turnovers that we created. It's a pity we didn't, weren't able to manufacture more shots. We did have 7 shots to Wolves, 1, I think, in the first half. At one point, it was 7-0 in terms of shots. And really, it was complete one-way traffic. We didn't create loads, but Saka was quite bright in the number 10 spot. This was a good example, probably one of our best bits of play actually from that first half, where Saka wriggles away from a couple of players. You'll see it here, and then he splits the defence with a lovely, lovely pass from number 10 for Victor Gyökeres. It's a great piece of play from Bukayo Saka. Gyökeres sets it back, of course, for Noni Madueke, who curls it into the far corner. The keeper spills it. It's a terrible piece of goalkeeping. And then here, this is the chance for Gabriel Martinelli. It's 5 yards out, and he's just got to put his laces through that. The red arrow is what he should have done, in my opinion. He should have took the ball, the keeper, everything, and just smashed that into the empty net and said, "Thank you very much." 2-0 Arsenal. Hopefully game over, but it was a really tentative effort from him, unfortunately. We did score early on in the game, just 4 minutes in, through Bukayo Saka, making his mark as a number 10. Obviously, if you play in that position, you've got to get into the box. You've got to offer a goal threat. You've got to support the striker. And that's what Saka did for the goal, and it's what he did for most of the game, actually. I think he was one of the bright spots in this performance. Let's just remind ourselves of the moment where he does score. Declan Rice makes himself that spare man again. We chop the ball back to him, and he whips a beautiful ball in, doesn't he? But it's that little darting run from Saka off the back of Matheus Mane. We're going to see a lot more about him later on in the show. But it's a really clever run off the back of him. The keeper, I think, has a bit of a nightmare because Saka gets there and he's only 4 yards out, really, when he heads the ball, and he sort of retreats onto his goal line, Jose Sarr. But good stooping header, lovely ball in. But it proved to be a little bit of a false dawn, didn't it, for Arsenal? It should have set us on the pathway for a really routine, comfortable win, but they didn't really get going. I think the Wolves revved themselves up a little bit. They started to get a bit agitated with some of the things that we were doing. The crowd started to get engaged a touch more. And the longer it stayed at 1-0, the more the belief that Wolves got. And they, in fairness to them, they did a good job of stunting our flow. There was no real fluidity to the football. They made it a real battle. And we didn't show the quality that we've got, unfortunately. And now it is time to get to that second half. There'll be huge regrets that we didn't really push on. As I've outlined early, we were nervy, we were tentative, we were cautious. The quality of our passing and the decision making was just way below the expectations, way below the standards that we set ourselves. I thought we looked jaded. Just so many poor choices from the players in that second half. I got a few stats for you in the second half, and this is damning, really. We have 48.6% of possession in the second half. So Wolves had more of the ball than Arsenal, and that really shouldn't be happening. Not from a bottom side. That shows you how edgy we became. Our pass accuracy in the second half, 76.2%. Look, we're used to having accuracies around 85, 86, 87, 88. If we get low 80s, we're disappointed. That's a poor return. So 76% in the second half, not good. Wolves made 17 more accurate passes than us from half-time onwards. Here are some stats up on the screen, in terms of the difference in the passes. We're on the right. Arsenal 214. Wolves had more. We played more long passes than Wolves, or almost exactly the same. And there you can see the pass accuracy, which really wasn't good enough. In terms of our creativity, I think that was a problem. Was the balance of our attack in this game the right call from Arteta? I'm not sure. I thought that Wolves would go low block, so going with all-out pace with Gyökeres and Martinelli and Madueke, I'm not sure about that. And as it turned out, we did lack a little bit of guile and of creativity. Obviously, no Eze, no Ødegaard, no Trossard. Would an Eze or a Trossard have been a better bet in this game, or potentially even both of them? Looking back at it, maybe. Let's compare the first half, the first 34 minutes, where we were pretty good actually, with the rest of the game in terms of our key passes. So here is the first 34 minutes of the game. We had 7 shots, and here are the key passes. Marcelli put one on the head of Madueke, Rice for the goal. Gyökeres sets up Madueke for the shot. There's a Saka corner. It's okay. It's a lot's coming down the left. There's only really that Gyökeres setback down the right-hand side. So that's 34 minutes in. So between 35 minutes and about 98 that we ended up playing, it's probably over 100 minutes in total. This is where we're at in terms of our key passes from 35 minutes onwards, and it doesn't make great reading. You've got the assist there from Gabriel Magalhaes, the lovely little through ball. We'll look at that shortly. And then you've got 2 passes from Hincapié, the left back. So basically 2 members of our back 4 down the left-hand side have made the only key passes in the second half, and that is not good. That's a big problem, isn't it? Nothing from Saka, nothing from Madueke. Didn't create a chance all game, nor did Trossard when he came on, nor did Eze. Gyökeres didn't have a shot in the match. Jesus, no shots. Our forward players did not click in this game. I think that is clear for all to see. But down the right in particular, we really struggled. Nothing at all in that second half. The goal itself was okay. The goal itself was a good goal, wasn't it, from Piero Hincapié? And at that moment, I think we all thought, wow, we've done it. We've sealed the 3 points. Happy days. Let's break down this particular goal, because there's a few things going on with it that I want to show you. Right, here you go. First up, he's played onside, isn't he, by the Wolves player that I've circled at the top of the screen. So, and what he's done, Hincapié at the bottom of the screen, he's just made a horizontal run in behind Chachua, or off Chachua, and in behind one of their midfielders. The key moment, though, I think Gyökeres will get a lot of flack for his performance. He was very much on the edge of the game, but he did play a big part in this goal, because as the play's building up, as Rice gives it to Gabriel, here with a yellow arrow there, Gyökeres goes from centre forward into midfield, and that drags Mosquera with him. We saw this against Wigan, didn't we? Dragging a centre back into midfield, so it opened up a lovely corridor of space. There's not a lot of room for Gabriel to make that pass, as you can see, and he makes a great pass. And then, of course, Hincapié gets in, goal side, and he gets bumped, doesn't he? I think by Mosquera at the point of contact, but he stays strong, stays, true to his technique, and it was a really, really good strike. He lifted the ball perfectly, and that was just what we wanted. And at that point, you thought, well, 2-0, 3 points in the bag. Happy days. It wasn't to be. We went into our shell. We played abysmally from that point onwards, and we let Wolves back into the match. We have to go through the goals and analyse those in a little bit more detail. But before I do that, I want to remind you what happened at Emirates Stadium, because Matheus Mane, the 18-year-old Wolves midfielder, was involved in both goals in this game, and he was also involved in the goal that they scored late on at Emirates Stadium. And there are echoes to both goals that we saw at Molineux here. So let's have a quick reminder of it here. The ball came in from the right. It's headed back by a Wolves player to Mane, who's playing left to centre, and he goes and retrieves the ball. We're a bit slow to react, and here, as you look, 3 players around him, but none of them press him properly. No one really gets in his face. No one makes enough pressure to affect the quality of the cross, and he whips in an absolute beauty for Rokodare to head home. Okay, so that was then, and this is now, and both goals certainly have shades of the same thing going on. So let's have a look at the first goal. What we hoped would be a consolation. It didn't prove to be that way. Saka it is that makes the clearance, and it is Mane that goes and retrieves it in a similar position. And you see there, Martinelli and Madueke have gone to chase him down. They've gone to press him to try and win the ball. And I would question particularly Martinelli's choice of not going goal side there, of going on to the left of Mane. I don't really understand that. Madueke's making up ground to get there, but between them, they make a real hash of it. And Mane controls the ball and turns, as you can see, both players and takes them out of the game. That's really loose play from Martinelli in particular, but also a little bit of Madueke. So he moves it infield, and they switch it right. And this is the key moment, of course, where Hugo Bueno, the guy who took the original corner, gets the ball out of his feet and shifts it onto his left foot. Now, Hugo Bueno has got one of the best left foots in the Premier League. He produces accurate cross after accurate cross. Everybody knows that his left foot is a little bit of a wand. And that's why I was a little bit disappointed with Pierre Hincapié's defending here. Let's take a closer look at it. So he takes the touch, he gets it out of his feet, and there in the red arrow, first of all, the blue line between the players is too big for me. I think Hincapié has got to try and close that gap. It's at least 6 yards. And he's not going to impact that with a block. He's got his hands behind his back, but is he really in a position to make an effective block from that far away? I don't think so. I'm looking at those 2 red arrows that I've put there. I'm thinking, can he make a run? Can he move just a yard or two? Just a yard or two to his right and a bit closer to Bueno to block that path to the goal. Maybe he could, and if he had done, maybe Hugo Bueno wouldn't have stuck that in the top corner, and it wouldn't have roused Molineux into the state that it got into. So yeah, I think Hincapié sort of just stayed too far away there. He's got to get a little bit closer, and because he knows it's going to be left-footed, so move to your right to make sure that you block that left foot shot. If he tries to check back and go on his right foot, that's a win. That's an absolute win. But in that example, I think we all knew what he wanted to do, and he didn't do enough, in my opinion, to stop that. Now, for the dreadful equalising goal right at the end of the match, Mane is again involved. So let's take a look at it. They race down the left, and as you can see with the arrows that I've got there with Eze and Zubimendi and Martinelli, everyone's rushing back. Everybody's rushing back towards their own goal as they go on the front foot. We're getting deeper and deeper, and Mane pulls away from the D deliberately into that space because he knows everyone's heading one way. I'll go the other way and I'll get myself into a position where I can support the player on the ball. And he does that. The player gives it to him. And then you're looking at Zubimendi, aren't you? And you're thinking, did he work hard enough? Was he too tired to get there tight enough to Mane to close him down? He doesn't, again, a little bit like Hincapié, he's too far off him. Needs to get a little bit closer. Then if you look inside the box, Gabriel is in line with the rest of his defenders. David Raya's got a lovely open space inside his own 6-yard box. That is how you want it to be. There's a lovely bit of area there for the goalkeeper to come out and claim the cross. And as we all know, what happened next was a bit of a nightmare. Gabriel Magalhaes drops back. David Raya comes out to get it. They get in each other's way, and the ball falls to Edozie, who scores the goal. Now, for me, I think this one probably falls more on Gabriel Magalhaes than David Raya. It's the easiest of catches. You've seen it on that clip. It's catching practice. It's not an issue. There's no one else around. There's no one putting pressure on Gabriel. There's no one putting pressure on Raya. He comes out and gets that ball. It's game over. We take the point. We didn't play well, but we win the points. Gabriel, I think maybe he's too worked up at the moment, at that moment, and he backs off, and I don't know why he wants to get involved and to win that header. Now, we don't know how loud the shout was from David Raya, even if he did shout, but even so, it has to be keeper's ball there, because if he's backpedaling, where's he going to put his header anyway, Gabriel? He's only going to head it straight to Edozie anyway. He's not in a position to really deal with that. David Raya should come out and catch it, and unfortunately the Brazilian gets in his way. Right. One sort of positive was Saka playing at 10. We got to see it anyway. I don't think it was a roaring success. There were some good bits, some not so good bits, but I did want to just briefly touch on it. I prefer him on the right. I think we probably all do, but it's definitely an option to use him on the inside. He looked okay at times. I actually thought without the ball, he was outstanding. He made 9 ball recoveries. He also made 3 interceptions, a tackle. He won a tackle, made a couple of clearances as well, Saka. Here is his defensive chalkboard from the game. And as you can see, it's really good. You know, he relished that role. He got stuck in. And he was strong in that particular area. In terms of what he did on the ball, let's have a quick look at that. His pass map, his shots, just his only shot was the goal. All of the passes there. So he did lean right, a little bit Ødegaard style. But he did move around the pitch. He wasn't restricted to that one side. He went here, there and everywhere. And I think we saw enough for Mikel Arteta to go with him again in that position. Once, on occasion. I don't think it should be a regular, but there you go. Right, it's player ratings time. Players, you probably want to look away. Some of you probably go even more brutal than me here, but I'm just giving my honest opinion here. So I'll start with David Raya. I'm going to go for a 4. Obviously, there's a mistake there. I do think it was more on Gabriel, but could he have been more decisive? The curler as well that goes past him. He did look small in the goal. Did he quite get his position right? I'm not sure. He wasn't terrible, David Raya, but on a night where low marks are the norm, I'm going to have to give him a 4, I'm afraid. Jurriën Timber gets a 3. I think on reflection, Ben White would have been the better pick. Got a little bit more energy at the moment. He looks jaded to me, Timber, and some of his passing was unusually bad, and he just didn't look right. I've actually got his successful pass map here to show you. As you can see, almost everything went backwards. Almost everything went backwards from Timber in the game, which, isn't like him. It really isn't. In terms of the other members of the back four, I think Saliba was okay, actually. I'm going to give him a 5. Gabriel a 4. I think obviously that was a big mistake for the last goal. Hincapié I'm going to give a 6 to. Obviously a great goal. He did make 3 chances, I think, in the game, and he did all right. He's downgraded a bit for the part he played in the Wolves goal, as explained. Declan Rice 5. He made 9 ball recoveries. He was here, there, and everywhere. He did that side of the game well, but he didn't really drive with the ball down the spine of the pitch like he can. His passing wasn't great. So, he wasn't as good as usual, that's for sure. Zubimendi's like Timber, he's going to be a 3. I was really disappointed with Zubi. I think that he struggled to impose himself. He looked tired. And I think Christian Norgard actually might have been a better bet on the night. And maybe we'll see him in the North London derby. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think that Norgard will be pushing him for minutes soon. because he just didn't handle the Wolves' physicality very well, and we lost control. And everything was a little bit too cautious. As you can see on his pass map here, yep, there you go, there's his pass map. It is a lot of sideways stuff, nothing really forward at all inside the final third. On the right, I'm going to go Madueke 4. Didn't create a chance. Obviously had that shot. Looked good early on, but did fade. Saka 6. I think I'm just about going to give him main man. Got the goal. Tried to make a few things happen. Then looked like he got a little bit of a knock and had to come off, but he did all right. Martinelli, I'm afraid, is in the sort of Timber Zubimendi camp. It's just a 3 for me. No end product. Missed a big chance. Some slack marking, as I've outlined earlier. And again, look at his successful pass map here. Again, almost everything goes backwards. There was one cross to Madueke that he got on the end of, but that was kind of it from Gabriel Martinelli. Not the best performance from him. Victor Gyökeres gets a 4 as well. Just not enough involvement. No shots. Didn't carry the threat he should have done against a team of Wolves' calibre. The subs, it didn't really happen for the subs. Eza 4, Trossard 4, Jesus 3, Calafiori 4, but none of them were really on long enough to give a proper rating to. As for the gaffer, Mikel Arteta, I think it's a 5. I think this one's mostly on the players. I think it's the players that are making the decisions on the ball, the players that weren't passing properly, the players that were getting too tight, the players that made mistakes for the goals in terms of the defending. But Mikel Arteta didn't really get the subs, didn't really work for him. I don't think the balance of the starting 11 was quite right, looking back on it. And obviously it is on the manager to sort of instill that mentality of being more courageous and being braver and not sitting on leads. So he's got to get that message across. And I'm sure that he will between now and Sunday when we play Tottenham Hotspur in the North London derby. That one should be very, very lively indeed. I think Igor Tudor's arrival probably is bad news for us on that front. It will give the stadium new energy, the players new energy, and his tactics are quite in your face. There'll be an aggressive press from Spurs, and they'll come at us probably a little bit more than they would have done. That might play into our hands. Let's wait and see. It probably will play into our hands, but they will ask us questions, and we have to defend better. We have to make better decisions, and we will have to pass a heck of a lot better under pressure, because they will press us. They will get on our faces. That's what Tudor demands, and we will have to be a lot sharper than we were at Molineux. So there you go. That was the breakdown. It's a tough one today. Really hard. Didn't fancy doing it. But look, I've got to do every game. I'm committed to this now. And this was probably the most critical I've been of Arsenal all season. A lot of things that we must do better. And hand on heart, a lot of what we saw and the pattern of what's been happening of late is a little bit concerning, because the players aren't grabbing the nettle here. They're going into their shells a little bit and going into protection mode, and that's not going to help us win trophies this season. So hopefully this is a turning point and that we bounce back from it at the weekend. So I'll be back after that North London derby to review it, as always, here on The Breakdown. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the likes. Please press the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please do get involved. The more, the merrier. Until probably Monday, it's bye for me.